Hey guys, Jake here, and today I am here with week number 4 of NPL Minors. This week we're going up against Tone, coach of the Maine Red Clawitzers. Tone is a very good player and a very good content creator, and he's one of the nicest guys I've ever met in the community, so definitely go check out his channel. You will not regret it. Yeah, we're going up against Tone this week, and we have not started off the season good at all. We are 1-2 -5, and that means this is a must-win game this week. We need to win this game to have a chance of promoting. Yeah, I really need to win this game. The unfortunate thing is, because of March Madness going on, and I wanted to do well in that as well, I didn't really focus on my NPL Minors team as much as I could have. So I didn't put as much time into prep as I usually like to for minors, but I still think I built a pretty solid team for this game. So let me go over his team real quick. His team consists of Mew, Z Scolipede, Heatran, Megaseptile, Mamoswine, Primarina, Zoroark, Como, Z Mimikyu, and Z Rotom-Fan. So Tone's got a pretty nice offensive draft. It's got a ton of wall breakers that focus around some scary late game stuff like Sceptile and Scolipede. Yeah, overall just a nice offensive team with breakers such as Primarina and Mamoswine for the late game sleepers such as Mimikyu, Scolipede, Sceptile. His team has a lot of setup that is pretty difficult to deal with, and just his team overall is a very nice draft, nice synergy, very hard to check defensively, and yeah, overall just it has all the things you need in a draft. I think Tone drafted very well in my opinion. But yeah, so let me go over the mods individually. First off, he's got Mew, and Mew is a huge threat to my team. I just really struggle to break Mew because my dark type is Gyarados, Mega Gyarados, which honestly isn't that good against his team because he has stuff like Primarina and Como, which I can't really hit that hard. I was about to say Mimikyu, but then I remembered Mold Breaker. But yeah, Mew is just really annoying for me to break. I need to kind of just pressure it and hope it's not like a Calm Mind set or a Bulk Up set. Those sets were the sets that really feared me the most in mocks, because like I actually got like just swept by a Bulk Up Mew in one mock. So yeah, Mew is a huge threat to my team. He's also got the Scolipede, and the Scolipede is a Z-Mon, which makes it much more threatening in my opinion, because it can just really, it gives it the ability to break past certain walls that it otherwise wouldn't really be able to. So yeah, Scolipede is a huge threat to my team. I do have Qwilfish, but Qwilfish doesn't like taking earthquakes and stuff, and the rest of my team just kind of gets destroyed by Scolipede. So it's a ginormous threat. He's also got the Heatran. Heatran my team deals with pretty well in my opinion. I've got 2 wire types and just mods that can take hits from it pretty well, so just like Snorlax and Garchomp. But one Heatran set that could be really annoying is Air Balloon, because a lot of my team relies on ground coverage to hit the Heatran, and it would be pretty annoying if it was just immune to that. He's also got the Megaseptile. I wasn't that scared of Megaseptile at all because I thought I had pretty good checks to it on my team, such as Togekiss, Snorlax, Jirachi, Shaman. It can't really break any of those, but it matches up pretty well against my offense. So stuff like it outspeeds my Salazzle and Garchomp and can OHKO it. OHKO is my Gyarados as well. I think it's a really good revenge killer this game, so I can definitely see him bring it. He's also got the Mamoswine. Mamoswine is just a huge threat to my team. I do not have switching to Mamoswine on my draft at all. And yeah, just like all my ground resists are Togekiss and Shaman, which hate taking Esco crashes. So yeah, Mamoswine is a huge threat. Primarina is a threat in in pretty much all matchups, but I feel like my team deals with it decently well. Most of my team outspeeds it, which is pretty nice, and pressures it offensively. I do have some good special walls to switch into as well, so just as like Bulky Shaman and Snorlax and stuff. So I'm not too scared of Primarina. Zoroark is pretty threatening because something like a Z Zoroark could be really scary. Something like Z Sludge Bomb or Z Focus Blast and hit like my Togekiss or my Snorlax respectively could be pretty threatening. I really wasn't sure what set he'd bring. I figured Scarf was a possibility. I also figured Nasty Pot or Swords Dance were probably most likely. Swords Dance, I really just can't deal with that well. Because something like Swords Dance, Low Kick, knockoff and like either like Sucker Punch or like Iron Tail or something for my Togekiss. Just hit my whole team really well. So yeah, so Airwork was really scary. He's also got the Como. Como, I don't really have that much for a +1 Como on my draft, but I feel like a lot of my team pressures Como pretty well offensively, so I wasn't too scared of a setup Como this game. He's also got the Mimikyu. Mimikyu can be pretty threatening to my team just because my team doesn't have the best ghost resists, yeah, it's setting up Swords Dance. This could be pretty scary, and nothing on my team outspeeds it really resists Shadow Sneak, which is pretty scary. But I don't think Mimikyu has the power to really break through my team. He's also got the Rotom Fan. Rotom Fan could be pretty scary if it's like a trick variant, because it'd be able to trick my pretty much only Rotom Fan switch-in on my draft, which is my Snorlax, and pretty much invalidating that mon for the whole game. So Rotom Fan could be a pretty decent threat if he brought that. But yeah, without further ado, let's get into the team I brought. So first up, I've got my Garchomp. Again, bringing an ST Garchomp with Rocks, Earthquake, Dragon Claw, and Swords Dance. This thing is absolutely necessary this game because I need kind of a breaker that can help me try and beat the Mew. I can take an Ice Beam and I probably will outspeed it and kill with a +2 Tectonic Rage. And overall, I just threaten his team a lot. Mammothswine is a bit annoying because it can Ice Hard me, but as you're going to see, I do have a bit of a counterplay to Mammothswine later on. But yeah, this thing just breaks his draft really well. I pretty much get a kill unless he makes a really nice play and goes like hard Mammothswine, predicting my Swords Dance or Rocks or something. But yeah, I outspeed his whole team minus Scolipede and Sceptile and Zoroark, which is really nice. Something like an Air Balloon Mimikyu was something I was kind of expecting, so I considered putting Iron Head, but I figured that was too situational but yeah, Air Balloon Mimikyu could also be a pretty nice check to my Garchomp. But yeah, overall, very nice breaker this game. Can set up Rocks, which are pretty much necessary for this game, because getting that 25% chip on the Scolipede and that 12% chip on stuff like the Heatran and the Mew is absolutely necessary this game. So yeah, next up I have a Curselax. Snorlax rocking the Figgy Berry Gluttony with Curse, Return, Earthquake, and Recycle. Pretty much rocking max speed F, so I can take special hits from stuff like Primarina, Mega Sceptile, Rotom Fan, and like special Zoroark as well as I can. This mon is just a monster against his team. This thing is so hard for him to revenge. If I can get a curse up, like it's incredibly hard for him to kill this. I can recycle if I'm ever getting low and I need to get the 50% for my berry because of Gluttony. You guys all know how Curselax works. Return plus Earthquake hits his whole team. The Air Balloon Mimikyu does kind of wall this, but I figured that's fine because I have pretty good checks to Mimikyu on the rest of my team, and otherwise this thing just hits his whole team. I can set up on Mew once I scouted set, and if it doesn't have something like Will-O-Wisp or Taunt, I'll be in good position versus it. With like a curse up, I take nothing from Scolipede or Mammothswine. Like, it's crazy, and like I can curse up more on it. It's great, but yeah, mine is just so good versus team. Like, it's a very solid win condition. And yeah, next up I have got my Air Balloon Salazzle. Bringing Air Balloon Salazzle again this week. Rocking him Power Ground, Sludge Wave, Fire Blast, and Encore. Air Balloon Salazzle was really nice this game because, one, it gives me a switch into an Earthquake from Mammothswine, and like, he probably won't have a Rock move, so I can threaten him out because I will 2-hit KO the Mammothswine. It's also nice because I kind of wall the Scolipede if I still have my balloon intact. I can take a +2 Savage Spin out if I recall correctly and kill him with a Fire Blast, and he won't be able to Earthquake me. I don't think he'll run Rock Slide versus my team. I highly doubt it. It only really hits Togekiss, which he can obviously just Poison Jab. But yeah, this mon's dual stabs just hit his team pretty well. His only real switch into this mon is like a really bulky Como or a Mew. I put Encore on this thing just in case he was a setup Mew. I can make an aggressive switch into this Salazzle, Encore it, and then capitalize on it with one of my other mons. I felt like that was pretty necessary. But yeah, overall, just hits his team pretty hard. It gives me alright pivots into the Mamoswine and the Scolipede if I think he's going to Earthquake. And yeah, just very solid this game. Hits his team hard, can Encore set up. It gives me something to outspeed the Zoroark on my team, which is cool as well. But yeah, next up I've got another fast bulky Shaman, mixed defensive as well, rocking leftovers with Dazzling Gleam, Synthesis, Seed Flare, and Earth Power. These three attacks hit his whole team pretty well. The only thing it doesn't hit is the Rotom Fan, which I guess, and the Scolipede. But Scolipede takes some nice shit from like Earth Powers and switch and stuff, so it's not exactly the best thing to switch into this. But yeah, I'm speed creeping Mamoswine, so it can't just outspeed me and Icicle Crash. Speed also allows me to outspeed stuff like Heatran if it's not Scarf, Primarina, and a Mew that isn't like fast. So that's all very nice. The mixed defense investment allows me to take on stuff like Como and Zoroark alright. Pretty sure I invested in this, so it specs Primarina can't kill me with Boon Blast, so I can pivot into that if need be. And I can kind of get, this is kind of a decent thing to pivot into Mew, because I can hopefully go for a Seed Flare, get a Spadef drop, and Mew can't really do too much back to me. I would have to get some information on the Mew set first, of course. But yeah, this mon also will probably outspeed the Como, because I sped a few points above base 80s, just in case you want to speed creep base 80 of mine. And I can hit that really hard with the Dazzling Gleam. And Synthesis for recovery, Earth Power to hit stuff like Heatran. And yeah, this is overall just a very nice mon versus team. It checks the Sceptile very well. It doesn't take much from Dragon Pulse from Sceptile, which is very nice. And yeah, next up I've got a Quillfish. This Quillfish is obligatory this game just because Scolipede is such a huge threat. I've got Chocoberry, Intimidate, just so I can take an Earthquake if need be. Spikes, Thunder Wave, Liquidation, and Haze. Haze is nice in case he's like he's got some speed boosts up or a Swords Dance, and I can't OHKO him, so I can just Haze and get rid of his Swords Dance. He'd obviously get a speed boost back, but like the Swords Dance is the main thing this is for. Chocoberry also allows me to take a hit from Mamoswine if need be, and Spikes are nice versus this team. His removal honestly isn't the best. His removal is pretty much only Mew and Rotom Fan, but Mews don't really like to run Defog a lot, so setting up Spikes is pretty nice. Thunder Wave is nice for paralyzing stuff like Scolipede, of course, and yeah, I just feel like I need this thing to kind of have a more reliable pivot into the Scolipede. And next up, I've got pretty much my win condition this game, and that is my Scarf Jirachi, rocking U-Turn, Iron Head, Zen Headbutt, and Healing Wish. Now, if you look at his team, Scarf Jirachi is just so good versus it. Like, once I kill the Heatran, he doesn't have Steel Resist, and I can just pretty much spam Iron Head freely. His only Steel Resist besides Heatran is Rotom Fan, which I can also just Zen Headbutt and do with a decent amount. Because I'm adamant, I do hit pretty hard with this, and I have U-Turn, Dual Stab, which hits his whole team, and also Healing Wish. I debated between Healing Wish and Trick. Trick was nice for Mew, but in the end I decided with Healing Wish, because there was a good chance I'd have to Healing Wish something like my Snorlax or my Shaman or my Quillfish-like game, so I figured it was an alright option. And Trick I didn't think made that much sense either, because I want this Jirachi to keep its Scarf this game to outspeed stuff like the Sceptile. That's something really important. It gives me something to revenge the Sceptile. And yeah, this thing gives me something more reliable to offensively pressure the Mamoswine, because I can outspeed even a Scarf Mamoswine, kill it with Iron Head, and I don't mind taking Ice Shards at all. So yeah, this is my team for Tone. I feel like I built a pretty good team. Mew is definitely a huge threat to this team, but yeah, I'll be right back with the match. Alright, here I am with the match versus Tone, and as you can see, he decided to bring a team of Como, Heatran, Zoroark, Mamoswine, Mega Sceptile, and Scolipede. And the first thing that I noticed was that he didn't bring the Mew, which just blew my mind, because Mew is so scary for me to prep for. I really didn't have great ways of breaking it, but he didn't bring it, which just made me so happy. But he did bring a very good team otherwise. He brought the combo, which could be pretty scary if it's the right set. He brought Heatran, which is a nice check to a lot of stuff on my draft, and it means my Scarf Jirachi will have to kind of wait till it can do its thing. I brought the Zoroark, which I always have to consider because a lot of time I misplay against Zoroark, but I told myself before this game that I would not forget about Zoroark and I would always consider it. Mamoswine, which I have no switch-ins to on my draft. Sceptile, which is so good revenging my offense, and the Scolipede, which just is really scary with Swords Dance. But yeah, looking at his team, I figured my Shaman was a pretty nice lead. I match up pretty well versus everything except for the Scolipede, and I figured he wouldn't be Spike Scolipede. If he was Spike Scolipede, I would have been in a pretty bad position. I do have Coalfish to remove Toxic Spikes, but I figured leading Shaman was very risky because if he was Spike Scolipede, he kind of just could get 3 layers. But I figured that was just based on his team composition. I feel like since his team deals with my Scolipede answers so well, I figured he probably is an SD Scolipede. So I'm gonna just kind of play the early game as it is that. So I decided to lead off with my Shaman, which leads off versus everything on his team pretty well. So as he leads off with the Sceptile, and this is great because I'm just gonna fire up a safe Dazzling Gleam here and get some nice damage. I take pretty much nothing, or I mean I take a decent amount, but I can take Dragon Pulse pretty well, and I can Synthesis up on the next turn. Not really scared of anything else is gonna do to me. So he just decides to Mega Evolve and go for a Dragon Pulse, and I take that pretty well as he goes for the Dazzling Gleam, or I go for the Dazzling Gleam, and I take that, and that damage reveals he is Modest, which is no surprise just because he can afford to run Modest versus my team. And Dazzling Gleam doesn't do that much, which means he also has a pretty good amount of special defense, or HP investment, which also makes sense. Because I know I can take another Dragon Pulse, I decided to just go for the Synthesis to try and get this thing as healthy as possible. Spamming Dragon Pulse would be pretty annoying, but because I have the lefties and stuff, I would eventually be able to get back to pretty healthy. As he Earthquakes, predicting my Jirachi, which is pretty odd play, but it worked out for me. Because now my Shaman is at full, and here I decided to click Earth Power. Might be a pretty odd play, but I figured I didn't really want to risk doubling out on this turn just because he's been playing pretty weirdly with his Sceptile turn 1, and I didn't want him to like Dragon Pulse, and I figured there's a good chance he goes into a Scolipede, so going for the Earth Power is pretty nice because I know the Scolipede or the Sceptile can't really break me, and I can get some nice chip on that on the Scolipede, putting it in range of stuff like my Scarf Jirachi, which I can take a hit from. So I just go for the Earth Power in this turn as he does indeed go into a Scolipede. And that does some pretty good damage considering I'm uninvested and it's not stab. So I do have a dedicated switch into my Scolipede, and I figured I really considered going into my Salazzle on this turn because I figured just by the way he's been playing so aggressively, he might try and predict my obvious switch in, but there's no reason to risk my Balloon on my Salazzle at this point in the game. So I just go into my Coalfish as he does make a very nice play on this turn and go for the Earthquake, pop in my Sugar Berry, and he also reveals to be Life Orb. So Life Orb means a few things. First off, it means that the Zoroark is, I feel like he would really want to run Z-move on this thing, but I feel like he's probably Z Zoroark just because Z Scolipede was so good this game, but I figured he might have just prioritized Z on Zoroark, which is very possible. And it also means the Scolipede is even scarier late game just because of how hard it hits everything. Life Orb Earthquake is just going to be doing a ton to my Coalfish now that my Sugar Berry is gone. So yeah, I do have this chipped a decent amount, and I can also hopefully get it in range of Life Orb because I also do have my Garchomp with Rough Skin on the back. So if I can force this thing to go for a contact move and maybe kill us off there, that could be nice. But here I misplay and I just decided to go for the Thunder Wave. I go for this just in case he wanted to get greedy and set up a Swords Dance on my Spike or something, because like paralyzing this thing would make it so much easier to deal with. But I should have known he probably wouldn't risk that because Tone's a good player, and he actually just makes a very nice play and goes hard into his Sceptile. Now he gets a special attack drop or a special attack raise because of Lightning Rock, which means this thing is a lot harder for me to switch into. Here I think about this turn for a while, and I figured he's revealed Energy Ball and or he's revealed Earthquake and Dragon Pulse. So I figured he probably needs Grass Stab versus my team, just as stuff like Gyarados harder, just Grass Stab is good versus my team. And he also needs something to hit my Togekiss, because he showed that the Earthquake damage showed that he wasn't like timid or anything, so I figured it's probably hasty with Iron Tail to hit my Togekiss. So I figured I don't think he has Focus Blast, so one thing I can do is I can go into my Snorlax, not get to a KO'd, and I can get the berry back on the second hit, be at a good amount of health, and kill off the Sceptile. One sec, I just gotta plug in my computer. I just gotta charge my computer. Alright, there we go. So yeah, I go into my Snorlax here, as I can take 2 minus energy balls. So I take that, and I just decide to go for the return. It does knock out the Sceptile, and if he energy balls me, I'll be back at about 70% because of my Figgy Berry. So I just go for the return, and as you're gonna see, he goes for the energy ball and he gets a crit. Now this crit is huge, just because look at how good my Snorlax was versus team. I would have been healthy, I would have killed the Sceptile, I would have been in a great position. I know you might wonder why I risked my Snorlax if it was that good, but I figured I didn't want to risk my choice Scarf Jirachi being predictive of something like an Earthquake. And I knew he didn't have Focus Blast on the Sceptile. I knew he needed moves for other things. So, yeah, that crit just sucked a lot because I lose one of my best mons versus his team. But now I can go into my Scarf Jirachi, and I'm just going to click a U-turn. If he goes into something like his E-turn, I can get initiative. But he just decides to sack off his Sceptile, so the Sceptile is dead, and which is nice. And here I go into my Salazzle because I want to see what his response to my Salazzle is. I want to see if maybe I can get him to reveal a certain choice Scarf or get some information on some of his sets. But he goes into his Heatran. Now I thought a lot about this turn, and I think if I'm Air Balloon and you go into Heatran, like, this must be Zoroark. That's the only reason you go into it. It must be a Scarf Zoroark. Or just something that thinks it can take a hit from my Salazzle, which it can. So I'm actually going to make a pretty odd play on this turn. He should know that I'm bringing Hidden Power Ground. So I'm going to make a pretty odd play into my Shaman, predicting the Dark Pulse, or knockoff or something along that matter. I figured this is the Zoroark because it just seems too out of a play to go into Heatran. When you also have stuff like Como, I feel like he's trying to bait my Salazzle into Hidden Power Grounding this turn. So I switch into my Shaman. Pretty odd play, but as you're going to see, he does reveal to go for the Dark Pulse and be Zoroark. I know Heatran gets Dark Pulse, but that does way too much damage for it to be a Heatran using Dark Pulse. Now that damage reveals that it is not a boosting item, so I'm thinking it is either Scarf or Z move. And as I said earlier, because he's Life Orbs Coolpede, I do think this is a Z move Zoroark. So what I'm going to do in this turn is I'm going to pull a double into Garchomp because it covers these two plays. One, it covers his switch into Scolipede or Heatran versus my Shaman, because I feel like those are his two best plays versus this. And it also beats the play of him going for the Acid Downpour, the Z Sludge Bomb, because I can take Z Sludge Bomb into a Dark Pulse with my Garchomp. And he should, if he is Scarf, I feel like his play is to switch, because he can't break me, and he needs to rely on Dark Pulse and just to 1v1 me, and he also risks his Zoroark taking damage, which is a misplay in my opinion, because now I'd be able to tell what his Zoroark is. So I put a double into my Garchomp, expecting him to either double or go for the Z move, and as you're going to see, he actually does go for the Acid Downpour, so I got that play correct. Now here in this turn, I'm just going to fire off an Earthquake. I don't see a switch into it. I figured maybe he's not Bloomtran because he went for this first my Salazzle, so I'm thinking Earthquake is pretty free. If he goes into his Mammoth, I get some good chip, as he actually goes hard into his Como, and he actually reveals to be a max physically defensive, max HP Como. And here on this turn, I thought about it for a while, and I figured I don't need my Garchomp this much this game, so I think I'm just gonna get damage on this thing. This might have been a misplay. Perhaps I should have gone for rocks, but I kind of wanted to just get damage on this thing to put it in range of stuff like Iron Head for my Jirachi and a Sludge Wave for my Salazzle. So I click Dragon Claw on this turn. I know it'll be able to live, but I figured I can probably live a Dragon Claw from a defensive Como. So that's why I made this play, but he's actually going to reveal to eat that hit very well, and he also has Ice Punch, meaning my Garchomp dies, but that's not the end of the world. My Garchomp wasn't that needed this game. Now I can go out into my Salazzle, and I can just click Sludge Wave. And at this point in my time, I'm thinking my Salazzle might just clean up this game, because he revealed to not be a Scarf Zoroark. I still have my Balloon, and he Mamoswine and Scolipede can't hit me that well, and I'm thinking his Heatran might not even be Air Balloon just because of the way he's been playing it so far. But here on this turn, after the Como dies, this game is going to get a lot harder, and he reveals to actually be an Air Balloon Heatran. So this game just all of a sudden got much harder, because I really struggled to break this thing's Air Balloon without losing one of my important Pokemon. My Salazzle is my win condition at this point in the game, and for me to be able to win with my Salazzle, I need to break this thing's Air Balloon as soon as possible. So that's really hard for me to do, and I need to sack something off. And because I do still have my Balloon and Salazzle for his Scolipede, I figure I should switch him to my Qwilfish, and hopefully I will outspeed his Heatran and get off a Liquidation and break the Balloon. This might have been a misplay, but I figured I do have my Shaman and my Jirachi, which can break this thing's Balloon if need be. Fire Blast does a ton, and that reveals its offensive damage, but I'm just going to attack on my Qwilfish and go for the Liquidation on this turn, as he switches out into his Scolipede, which is actually his Zoroark, and I get some very nice damage on this, which is very nice because now I know which this is. And he switched out, probably fearing me being a speedy Qwilfish, which makes sense. But I figured he probably would calc the Earthquake damage from earlier on and the Fire Blast damage. So I feel like maybe him switching out would have been a choke, because he allowed me to get this Zoroark pretty much dead. And I have no reason to keep my Qwilfish around, so I just need to sack off my Qwilfish here. And I go into my Jirachi here because I can go for the U-turn. I hope he goes into his Heatran for some reason. I know he won't, but I know I can take a Sucker Punch pretty well, and I will probably outspeed this because he did reveal to be Z-move Zoroark. So I just go for the U-turn as I eat the Sucker Punch as I U-turn, and now here's where things get tough. I have the option of going into my Salazzle or my Shaman. Honestly, I probably should have went for Iron Head on that turn. That was a choke, because I would have been able to either like kill the Scolipede, kill the Mamoswine, or break the Heatran's Balloon. But I can't go Salazzle. That is not a play, because my Scolipede or my Salazzle is walled by his Heatran, because Fire Blast and Sludge Wave are obviously Heatran is immune, and I can't hit it with HP Ground either because of the Air Balloon. And Shaman it's free Scolipede, unfortunately, but it's my only play. I really choked by going for the U-turn here. I should have gone for the Iron Head, but I go into my Shaman because I can't go Salazzle and just let his Heatran get a kill. I do still have my Balloon Salazzle for the Scolipede, but as you're going to see, he actually goes into his Heatran, and I figured maybe he's giving me an opening to win this game. I don't know why he didn't go into Scolipede here, but this gives me a chance to break this thing's Balloon and go for the Dazzle Gleam. I know I will outspeed this because of my speed investment. I can just go for the Dazzle Gleam because it's my best. It's like it doesn't miss, and I can guarantee break this thing with Balloon as I go for the Dazzle Gleam, and as you can see, he actually misses the Fire Blast on this turn. So I guess you could say this makes up for the miss on my, or the crit energy on my Snorlax, because now this game has totally turned around, because now I can just fire for an Earth Power and get this thing in range of my Salazzle's Hidden Power Ground. Salazzle's Hidden Power Ground does about 70 to 80 to like an offensive Heatran, and my Shaman's Earth Power does about 75 to 85, so this will get it in range of my Salazzle, and then my Salazzle is looking in a great position. It is also very nice for my Scarf Jirachi if I get that damage off. So here on this turn, I just go for the Earth Power, as he actually goes hard into his Mamoswine. I know nothing about this Mamoswine set. It could very well be a Scarf Mamoswine, so that's why I heavily considered going hard into my Jirachi this turn. But the thing is, if I go hard into my Jirachi, Heatran actually just wins, because I need to sack another Mon. And I would probably sack my Jirachi at this point, and he would obviously switch out. I'm thinking his play would probably be to sack the Scolipede, and then I can't beat a Scarf Mamoswine plus Heatran at that point, because the Heatran would be able to take a hit from my Salazzle and break my balloon, and then Scarf Mamoswine would win. So I feel like my only chance of winning this game is hoping he's not Scarf Mamoswine, and I don't think Scarf Mamoswine is the best spring versus my team, honestly, so I feel like that had hope, and I can actually live a hit from a Scarf Mamoswine as well. So here on this turn, I knew I was staying in after I decided that I shouldn't go Jirachi, and I considered between going for the Earth Power in case he wanted to pivot out into Scolipede, or going for the Seed Flare, but I feel like he would have gone into Scolipede versus my Shaman earlier if he really wanted to go into that versus that, so I just click Seed Flare, as he actually goes for the Ice Shard, and he is, I don't know what his item is, I actually didn't calc, but I killed the Mamoswine, which is great, and now I am looking like I actually might be able to win this game, which I thought I had no chance of doing once the Heatran revealed its Air Balloon versus my Salazzle. So now he brings in his Scolipede, and I know I win this game by sacking off my Jirachi here, and going into my Scolipede, going into my Salazzle versus the Scolipede, because he cannot kill me because of my Air Balloon. If he SDs on the switch to Jirachi, that's fine, because I can take a +2 Life Orb Mega Horn and kill him back. So I'm not really worried about that. So yeah, I just go hard into my Jirachi. I'm sacking it off as he just goes for the Mega Horn. And now going to my Salazzle, and here I realize this game will come down to 50-50s. Hidden Power Ground. Okay, let me talk about this. Okay, so Hidden Power Ground from my Salazzle does about 30%, meaning if he goes, or 20%. So if he attacks me right here, and I go for the Hidden Power Ground, he would still have one more Life Orb hit. And the thing is, this is a 50-50 right here, because he knows I need both my Shaman and my Salazzle to beat his Heatran, because I cannot OHKO it. If my Salazzle loses his balloon at any point in the game, and this Scolipede is not and the Scolipede doesn't have only one hit left, I just lose to Scolipede, because my Shaman and my Salazzle just died to Earthquake and Mega Horn. So here I figured, just because of the way Tone's been playing, I feel like his play here is to go into Heatran, try and break my balloon, and then clean with Scolipede. So I predict the Heatran on this turn, and I go for the Hidden Power Ground, so I'd be able to 2-hit KO it, kill it on the next turn, and then just win with my Salazzle. So I go for the Hidden Power Ground right here. This is a 50-50 pretty much, because he could just attack me, break my balloon, and then threaten me out in the next turn. But I go for the Hidden Power Ground because I know that if he attacks me here, predicts me to stay in, and I go for the Hidden Power Ground, he only has one more Life Orb hit, so it's another 50-50 after that, because I still have my Shaman in the back to take a potential Earthquake. So I go for the Hidden Power Ground this turn, hoping he goes into Heatran, but he actually stays in, go for the Poison Jab, breaks my balloon, I go for the Hidden Power Ground, do 33, and he has one hit left on 33%. So this comes down to an actual 50-50 right here, and I'm going to try my best to explain this, but basically, he could try and predict my Shaman right here, predicting me to predict the Earthquake and him to die to Life Orb Recoil, and then I would win. And then I would just win with my Shaman plus Salazzle, because I would be able to Earth Power this Heatran with my Shaman, and then kill it with Salazzle. So that's what happened if he would Earthquake, because if he Earthquakes and I go Heatran, and I go Shaman, he just loses, because Heatran can't beat both my Shaman and my Salazzle. I'm figuring the Heatran probably has Earth Powers, so my Salazzle still can't beat it 1v1 now that my balloon is popped. And here I'm thinking, I feel like just by how aggressive he's been playing this whole game, just with like his Sceptile, his Scolipede, all game, I feel like he's really going to predict me to go into Shaman on my on my on his Earthquake, and I can just go for the hidden power ground, because in case he wanted to switch into the Heatran for any reason, I can just 2KO it there. If he Earthquakes me and I stay in, then it's Shaman versus Heatran, and it's a double down. And here's the big reason why I decided to stay in this turn, because then it's Shaman versus Heatran. I cannot OHKO the Heatran, but the thing is, he has the chance to miss Fire Blast, in which case I would win because I would be able to 2KO it, and I decided to go for the route that would still give me a chance of winning, even if I got the prediction wrong. So I stay in because I know if he kills me with Earthquake, he would die to Life Orb, and then I can hopefully dodge a Fire Blast to win. So I go for the Hidden Power Ground, and as we're going to see, I stay in, and he goes for the Poison, or he goes for the Mega Horn, predicting my Shaman, and he dies to Life Orb, meaning I will just be able to Hidden Power Ground the Heatran. He kills me with Earth Power, and I can bring in my Shaman and kill off the Heatran with Earth Power. That was a hell of a game to Tone. He played very well throughout that game. It came down to a few 50-50s at the end, but yeah, very, very good game. Very close game, very intense game. Oh my god, it was so intense to play live. But yeah, there was a bit of hacks in that game that was pretty unfortunate. The crit on my Snorlax hurt a lot, as well as the Fire Blast miss from the Heatran onto my Shaman. But I feel like it evened out overall, and that was just a really close game. It came down to 50-50s with Scolipede versus Salazzle. Now, yeah, definitely make sure to check out Tone's channel. His link will be in the description, of course. Next week we're going up against Carney Hobo, which is the Vancouver Sloth Fox. Be sure to check that out. And of course, thank you all for watching. See you guys next time. Peace.